3. The rise of witchcraft. In the youth culture of America and England, witchcraft has become an extremely popular theme. The phenomenal success of the Harry Potter books, with over 250 million copies sold around the world since 1997, and over half the children in the US having read at least one of the books, has been a catalyst in this trend. Under the cloak of innocent fantasy, these books introduce the young to real occult practices and real figures in the history of witchcraft. The 7 projected books in the series trace Harry Potter's 7-year training in witchcraft, the curriculum of which closely resembles the 7-year program of the Ordo Anno Mundi, an occult group based in London. While author J.K. Rowling disavows any personal involvement in the occult, she admits to having done much research into witchcraft in order to make her books more realistic, and acknowledges that more than 1/3 of her books are based on actual occult practices. 4. Intentionally or not. Her books, together with the movies and franchise based on them, are a portal into the occult for those wishing to take the next step. 5. The Harry Potter phenomenon represents only one of many vehicles by which witchcraft is being popularized in the youth culture. Movies, example The Craft, Practical Magic, and television shows, example Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Charmed, target young audiences with the allure of how powerful and hip one can be through occult practices, and a plethora of books, example The Real Witch's Handbook, Teen Witch, and websites offer detailed instruction and guidance in how one can become a witch. 6. The youth are taking the bait. Since the release of The Craft in 1996, there has been a dramatic rise in the number of young people contacting neopagan groups and websites, such as Covenant of the Goddess, COG.com, and Witch's Voice, Witchvox.com. The Witch's Voice website, which claims to be the busiest religious website in the world, has had over 100 million hits since its inception in 1996, according to a survey conducted in 1999. 60% of the respondents have been under 30, and 62% have been female. In acknowledgement of this trend, the youth magazine Spin has ranked witchcraft as the top interest among teenage girls in America. 7. The same phenomenon is occurring in England as it is in America. In 2001, the Pagan Federation of England appointed its first youth officer to deal with the increased number of queries from young people. The Federation's media officer, Andy Norfolk, attributed the youth's increasing interest in witchcraft to the Harry Potter books and to the other books, articles, and television shows that make witchcraft look attractive. He further stated that, after every article on witchcraft or paganism appears, we have a huge surge of calls, mostly from young girls. 8. A survey in the year 2000 of secondary school children in England found that over half were interested in the occult, and over a quarter were very interested. 9. Today in America, the most popular form of witchcraft is Wicca. Its founder, British occultist Gerald Gardner, 1884 to 1964, was a personal friend of the notorious Satanist Aleister Crowley, a member of Crowley's Ordo Templi Orientalis, and a member of the Fellowship of Crotona, a co-Masonic organization. In the Fellowship of Crotona, Gardner was supposedly initiated into a coven of witches who claimed to belong to a lineage going back hundreds of years, and who worshipped the goddess and the horned god. In 1951 the law against witchcraft was repealed in England, and shortly thereafter Gardner began to publicly promote witchcraft under the Old British name Wicca. Gardnerian Wicca combined the practices and ideas of his coven together with those of the Ordo Templi. Orientalize Eastern philosophy and Freemasonry. Today, having been impacted by various spiritual and cultural trends, Wicca has become an amalgam of medieval witchcraft, feminism, goddess worship, pantheism, deep ecology, and worship of the earth. In terms of percentage, Wicca is the fastest growing religion in the United States and Canada. Numbers of adherents went from 8,000 in 1990 to 134,000 in 2001. With adherents being inducted from among the old and young alike, it is estimated that the number of Wiccans in the US and Canada is doubling every 30 months. 10. According to polls taken by the Covenant of the Goddess, the total number of self-styled pagans in the United States, including witches, is now nearing 1.5 million. 11. Tragically, the phenomenal increase in the number of witches coincides with a decrease in the number of Christians in America. A poll conducted in 2001 found that, during the previous 11 years, the number of Christians in the U.S. had been decreasing by 2 million every year. 12. Wicca is but one of the varied expressions of New Age spirituality. As Wiccan author Carol Lemasters explains, the impact of New Age spirituality on the goddess community has also been incalculable. Emerging approximately at the same time, the two movements have now become so intertwined as to appear indistinguishable. For the leaven of New Age spirituality, New Age/neo-pagan gatherings take place on a regular basis throughout the world. In America, the most prominent of these are the Rainbow gatherings held in various parts of the country, and the Burning Man festivals held in the Black Rock Desert of Nevada, drawing New Agers, Wiccans, goddess worshippers, earth worshippers, and outright Satanists together with curiosity seekers and party-goers. The Burning Man festivals increase in size every year. In 2004 there were 35,000 participants. The festivals conclude each year with the torching of a 40-foot-high sacrificial wooden man, reminiscent of the ancient Wicker Man sacrifice practiced by the Druids on the Feast of Samhain. While such gatherings are a significant indicator of the growing normalization of paganism in our society, more significant is the fact that New Age ideas and practices are entering more and more into all spheres of human thought and activity, shaping the lives of millions who may not consciously identify themselves as neo-pagans or New Agers. Thus, the New Age has become less a movement than a cultural trend, a leaven insinuating itself everywhere, into psychology, sociology, history, the arts, religion, healthcare, education, and government. Mental hospitals throughout the country have instituted New Age programs, Eastern meditation, transpersonal psychology, biofeedback, and music meditation. Many senior citizen centers have adopted yoga as a way to promote mind-body health. A large number of major corporations have sponsored New Age seminars for their employees, where visualization, hypnosis, psychic healing, dream work, contacting spirit guides, and other consciousness-raising practices have been taught. Even in public, government-funded schools, mediumism under the name of channeling has been taught as a means of inner healing. A consortium of concerned parents in Connecticut has described what has been happening in the classroom. In the name of discovering their life purpose, children are encouraged into trance-like states of mind where they communicate with guardian spirits. The use of yoga exercises and mind control techniques are other examples of the format of this program. 13. Christian churches, sadly, follow the same dangerous trends, trailing in the dust of the world's march of apostasy. In the mid-1970s, Father Seraphim had written, "The profound ignorance of true Christian spiritual experience in our times is producing a false Christian spirituality whose nature is closely kin to the new religious consciousness." Years before channeling of disembodied entities had become a New Age fad, Father Seraphim had quoted charismatics, speaking about how they channeled the Holy Spirit. But even if we omit the issue of the charismatic revival, the prognosis he made has been borne out in other areas. As New Ager Marilyn Ferguson writes in her book The Aquarian Conspiracy, an increasing number of churches and synagogues have begun to enlarge their context to include support committees for personal growth, holistic health centers, healing services, meditation workshops, consciousness altering through music, even biofeedback training. 14. In the city of Detroit, for example, Silva mind control courses have been taught by a Roman Catholic priest and nun. In New York City, the Episcopal Cathedral of St. John the Divine has featured sermons by David Spangler, a leading member of the Findhorn Foundation, who has said that a Luciferian initiation would be required to enter the New Age. In Oakland, California, the University of Creation Spirituality, under the leadership of Episcopal priest Matthew Fox, advocates a redefined Christianity that rejects the traditional Christian theology and the ascetical Christian worldview, while embracing Wiccan spirituality. Here, rave masses, also known as techno-cosmic masses, are held every month, having been originally launched at Grace Episcopal Cathedral in San Francisco. Described by one observer as a syncretistic brew of paganism, witchcraft, nature worship, drama, art, and dance, these multimedia masses are attended by well over 1,000 people. 15. Concurrently, there is now a movement in contemporary Roman Catholicism to assimilate the teachings of Carl Jung, one of the founding fathers of the New Age movement. Jung, who participated in seances and admitted to having spirit guides, taught that the exclusion of the dark side is a fatal flaw in Christianity, and that therefore there needs to be a fourth hypostasis added to the Holy Trinity, Lucifer. His theories are being extolled in Roman Catholic seminars and workshops, and his psychotherapy is being practiced in some Roman Catholic churches, and by monks and nuns in some monasteries. 16. Episcopal and Protestant, especially Methodist churches, have also entered this movement. A number of Protestant ministers also work as Jungian analysts. 17. Within many mainline Christian churches, there is a strong and determined movement to reimagine the Christian faith along the lines of radical feminist theology, neo-pagan goddess worship, and a New Age worldview. In 1993, the first Reimagining Conference was held in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in conjunction with the World Council of Churches' Ecumenical Decade of Churches in Solidarity with Women. The conference was attended by over 2,000 participants from 27 countries and 15 mainline denominations, most prominently the Presbyterian, Methodist, Lutheran, Roman Catholic, United Church of Christ, and American Baptist. 1/3 of the participants were clergy. Speaking of the need to destroy the patriarchal idolatry of Christianity, the conference speakers rejected and at times ridiculed the Christian dogmas of the Holy Trinity, the fall of man, the unique incarnation of God in Jesus Christ, and the redemption of man by Christ's death on the cross. In place of these articles of faith, the conference promoted pantheism, shamanism, and homosexual rites. The participants took part in a liturgy wherein milk and honey were used rather than bread and wine, and the goddess Sophia was worshipped rather than Jesus Christ. The chant was repeated, Our Maker Sophia, we are women in your image, with our warm body. Fluids we remind the world of its pleasure and sensations. 18 at a later reimagining conference held in 1998, Sophia worshipping. Participants also shared biting into large red apples to express their solidarity with Eve, whom they regard as a heroine for having partaken of the forbidden fruit. Although conservative Christians have spoken out against the conferences, the reimagining community remains influential within mainline churches, holding interdenominational caucuses to discuss strategies for expansion. Worship of the goddess Sophia continues within these churches. As recently as June 2004, during the Presbyterian General Assembly in Richmond, Virginia, a Voices of Sophia meeting was held in which Sophia was invoked as a goddess. 19. More significantly, feminist theology has become the most prominent trend on mainline seminary campuses today, and is a driving force within the ecumenical movement. 20. The main coordinator of the 1993 Reimagining Conference, Mary Ann Lundy, is now the deputy director of the World Council of Churches. At the 1998 Reimagining Conference, she made clear the agenda of both feminist theology and modern-day ecumenism. We are learning that to be ecumenical is to move beyond the boundaries of Christianity. You see, yesterday's heresies are becoming tomorrow's book of order. 21. As we have seen, this is also the agenda of the New Age movement.